Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Ben.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm Swiz.
And thank you for joining us for
I just like to change it up, voice. What?
It's not a movie with Ryan Reynolds, mate. Change it up. And thank you for joining us for the Collingwood special podcast, the team analysis, where we are going to be looking at the rookies and the mid-prices and also who is draft relevant this year. Chris, Swiz, happy to have you back. Let's have a look on the socials, SC Insider 100, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and on the YouTube, Chris.
Just search for Supercoach Insider. Yeah. I'm actually...
I can't see you. And I am on the... I don't even know what I meant. I've already had a couple, so this is me, Swiz. It's called the Heaps Normal. It's an XPA non-alcoholic beer, one for the non-drinkers out there. And... yeah, if you're not on it, get on it. And that's it. So let's move on to the
mid-prices.
Mid-prices and the rookies. Now, this is going to be highly, highly, highly relevant. If you're not sure, check out our other podcast on the YouTube, and it's going to give you some insight on the best 22, etc. Or if you're listening on an audio platform, then you would have already heard this because we're going to link these bitches together. All
right. Well, first thing we need to do is establish a basic guide as to what is a mid-pricer versus what is a premium, right? So... Yes. I think he's probably worthy talking about, but I think he's on the edge of being a premium. That's Jeremy Howe. Yeah,
that's probably the top end of it.
He's 427k, but he started the year absolutely on fire last year. Now it'll be interesting to see what role he has this year, but he was actually taking some pretty good fault. Like he wasn't necessarily always the seventh defender or the loose back.
I think you're talking about 2020, aren't you, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. So he'd be fairly... I think he's actually higher owned than I thought he would be too, Jeremy Howe, which is interesting. 427k.
Yes.
Played, 13 games, averaging at, a 78.7? Like, it's... Yeah. But even then, he was in mid-January, Howe was limited to riding the exercise bike, so it doesn't exactly... fill me with great confidence.
That is true.
See if Swizzy's having a squizzy doodle.
But I actually don't mind Jeremy Howe.
As far as rookies, we're looking at 102k to probably about a 220, and then from over 220, I start to look at a little bit more on the expensive rookies, the 280s and that kind of stuff. I'd say expensive rookies, and then mid prices. I'd probably say about 300 to 450 generally.
Yeah, and it depends on the line as well.
Yeah.
I think, like midfield mid-prices can be pretty much up to 450k-ish.
So even that mid-price range, like, the Rainers and stuff like that, they're kind of mid-pricer range-ish or / almost like an expensive rookie. It's in that awkward spot.
The only mid-price that I think...
Just to answer your question there, Benny Boy, Howe, 3.5%.
Okay, less than
around 2,000 people. Probably the 2,000 that spent their 1 hour of prison time login to their team.
Wow.
Obviously haven't had an opportunity to get back in.
Mate, you never told me your cricket mates were in prison. Oh, sorry. Again, so I shouldn't have sabotaged Swiz's.
My cricket mates wouldn't support Collingwood mates.
Good one. Okay, let's have a look now. Let's start with... So we're obviously going the bin prices there. Lipinski one for me, 359k. Being tempted, people, changing clubs. He couldn't get quite a gig at the Bulldogs. Now he's come to Collingwood. Maybe Lipinski is the answers to all of their midfield problems. Chris, what do you think he fits in Lipinski? Is he worth the 350 price tag? He's a midfielder only, though.
The only problem I see with Lipinski is he hasn't done it before. It's not that I don't think he can, because I think he's a very talented guy, and he's got the package to be able to do it. Is the role there? I think it is. I think that he's going to have enough of mid-time to score well. The problem is you're paying 350k, and ultimately, really what you want out of that is probably not to make cash. You probably want him to be a keeper, and I don't think he's going to be quite... I think maybe he averages, say, 95 at the absolute top end.
And at his price, I think you're better off picking Raul, who's cheaper.
It's a tough one.
As in, I know Raul's injury prone, but his upside's higher.
I don't really like to, if I'm honest, I don't like any mid-price midfielder in this. If he was forward mid, I think he'd be in a high percentage of sides.
And the rookies are awesome this year, so why, apart from choosing a 260k in Berry's probably the most expensive I'm going.
Save 100k, go pick up Berry, might average similar. Berry's already shown that he can average 100 before.
And it's Berry good.
I like Lipinski, and I think he will be good, and there's going to be games where he's going to absolutely explode. I'm just not sure. I haven't seen it. Maybe the preseason games will highlight that a little bit more as to how much mid-time he gets. But I think he will be rotating a little bit forward, and I'm just not sure about that split yet. Therefore, I'm just like,
Yeah, but draft relevancy, I'd happily have
absolutely.
him as my M6 or 7. I reckon he probably won't do you that bad, depending on, obviously, which positions you switch.
What do you think, Swiz?
One Collingwood injury in the preseason, and it changes everything. But right now, he's no touch in standard, and you'd want to take him later in drafts. But at the moment, I see a few people reaching for him at M4, M5 and that, which because everyone thinks, oh, well, he's changed from the Bulldogs, he's getting that inside midfield time. Yeah, I'm happy for other people to draft him at the moment. And then if an injury happens, well, good on them.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
I think that's fair. Another one, just these two will be real quick anyway. So IQ, I don't mind for draft leagues. I think he is one that could break out as a rebounding
I've had
sort
him
of role.
in a keeper league for a long time.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
I think
waiting on him, waiting.
It's been a few years now, so it's kind of like now he looks like an absolute rig, and it's set up if the new coach wants to have their.
You saw that photo that I sent you?
It could be the Hooley or the short extractor.
Yep.
The pace and the boot and the good decision making. I think IQ is one that could break out and has lots of value in draft leagues this year. And the other one is Bianco, 280k. Even consider it for standard leagues. I'm not game to go there because obviously, as we spoke about, probably maybe 22, maybe not. But
I love Bianco as a player. I just feel like he's too small to play the position that he probably is best at, which is midfield.
Yeah, but
He's
he
just too
was
small.
training as well. Possible midfield role. Adam, Lipinski, Bianco all stayed back to work on their stoppage craft January 16. So that, you don't stay back unless you look like you're probably in the mix to play stoppages. So it's an interesting one to watch. I don't mind it. I'm not going to be shelling out 280k if I can help it. But he is a forward, so it adds him to the mix of ones that I am just waiting to see.
Fair enough. Outside of that,
McCrae, can we talk?
Finn McCrae?
Oh, mate, we could give you a 2-minute segment.
Still big on Finn McCrae. And
He wasn't in your best 22, though.
No, because I think the hype might get Dacos over the line. But I seriously only think that there's space for one of them. Mainly because... Again, one injury in the midfield completely opens everything up. The rumour early on was that McCrae was going to be playing a lot of time on the ball. And then in match sim, he's been playing a lot of time on the wing.
On the wing, yep.
Now, that's not where I want him to see him from a Supercoach perspective because your ceiling's capped as a rookie at that, let's say, maximum average 70 to 80, like absolute maximum. When he gets mid-time, you're looking at 85 plus.
Well, who's the highest scoring wings ever? Gaff? Even McCluggage scored pretty well as a wing, and they're freaks.
And still like that wing position.
It's still not great
until they actually make a wing position in Supercoach. Wingers are completely redundant because inside mids are going to dominate the entire competition. So it's just no point. It's a moot point. So yeah, I just kind of feel like I'd love McCrae, and I've got him in a keeper. So definitely look for Finn McCrae in a keeper league, but not in a standard. Obviously, I love him as a rookie coming through, but I wouldn't be looking at him in a standard draft league this year at all. I don't think that's a good play at all. What's your mid price of there, Swiz?
No, I don't think there's any other. I did like Finn McCrae.
Yep.
But until once again, I'd be more confident watching those preseason games and seeing what they do with him and Dacos and see where he exactly fits in. So I've been pretty hot on him because I think there's a role for him.
Yep.
But I want to be more assured of that if I'm going to spend the 200,000 because it becomes down to McCrae, Horn Francis or Dacos sort of in that. And I think Ward's burning up the track for Hawthorn too. So you don't want to be spending too much on those expensive rookies. And McCrae's got that little bit ahead of those guys because he's been in the system that bit longer. But, if he come in the preseason and he looks like he's playing midfield or wing or something like that, no problems. I'm happy to pay the money for him. But until that moment, I'm not that confident.
I feel like this year more than any, there's been so many teams with expensive rookies. And I don't know whether it's maybe these are the only people that we've heard of because of the last 2 years of COVID. Maybe, there hasn't been too much documentation of, this up-and-comer or this, that, and the other. We haven't really seen it. And it's an interesting one because we have... Some people are starting with 4, 5, 6, 7 rookies that are 180 to 200,000, which is just absolutely, in my opinion, crazy. But we will wait and see. Will Kelly, the next one for me, is a defender forward, 123k. We've touched on him briefly. Now we will say this: they were talking about him, full fitness, body's feeling great. He got strong and fit over the summer. Won the 2k time trial for the 1st to 4th year players. He did injure his elbow 2021. I think he had. Was it 2021? He had another injury before that. So he's had some bad luck. but I feel like he's someone that could definitely be playing, but it depends on if he does play, and then the role. So if he's playing as like a bit of a third forward or something, then it's going to
depend. That role's the one that's kind of open at Collingwood at the moment. So there's definitely space for Will Kelly to play alongside Cameron and Grundy as that, and sorry, Myercheck, I suppose, as the third tall forward. I'm just not sure if they want to go that way, playing three big talls. If McCrae is going to be setting up Collingwood like Richmond, a la 2017. They're not going to go with the three talls. They're going to go with guys that are going to really pressure the ball forward of the 50. So I can't see him really pushing that without an injury. However, the proof is in the pudding. If they comes out in pre-season, he's playing and he's killing it, well then there's a chance that he could play in round one, and therefore obviously I think you got to pick him.
Definitely worth the watch. Definitely
forward.
worth the watch though at this point, and I'm sure we can all agree.
But he's definitely playing forward. He's not playing defence in pre-season so far.
Well, they don't need him in defence unless. Well, actually,
no, they definitely don't.
Even then, Charlie Dean, 102k. We've mentioned him briefly. Probably the one that you should definitely be starting. It looks as though he will get a gig with Roughhead being injured. Yep. He was picked 2 in the rookie draft. He's 195 centimetres, 86 kilograms. He's a tall defender, composed under pressure with elite intercept marking. That's what they wrote about him. That's his bio. And I think as far as that goes, definitely someone that you should be able to lock away pending the preseason, everything like that. Swiz, Charlie Dean, simple as that?
Hasn't left my side. No, he's just one of those locks. 102k. He's going to get games. Can't go wrong. So it's just a question of, is he starting on your field at D6 or is he going to be a D7 or D8? That's the only real conversation about him.
Yeah, I mean, based on his pedigree and what he was doing I think it was Sandford, was he? It was Sandford, right?
Not
or was
sure.
he VFL?
Swiz, do you know? I don't know.
But
I'm pretty sure it was Sandford.
Yeah, he was playing obviously in a really high level, and he won. I think he won one of the medals there. But he's obviously playing as an intercept defender who can lock down. So it'll be interesting to see how they play him. I think he does come in and just play.
No, sorry, VFL, mate,
VFL, yep. So I think he actually does come in and plays a little bit lockdown, which is going to restrict his scoring, unfortunately. Or they could go the other route and play Jeremy Howe as their lockdown on the centre half back. But I just don't think, to me, he's just not big enough, Jeremy Howe, to be playing lockdown. Though he's done it in the past. Because Moore's not going to do that. Moore's not a lockdown defender at centre half back. He runs off and he's going to take his intercept grab. So I think that he probably gets that lockdown role. But that's okay these days in backlines. Yeah, you can score quite well being a lockdown because they switch the ball out of defence and you get quite a lot of possessions exiting the 50. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. And I think he's absolutely a lock in anyone's side, and especially in a season where we're really struggling to find defender rookies at this stage of the preseason anyway.
Makes sense. We're going to finish with a few minutes just talking about draft relevancy for some of the other high-end players, and then that will wrap us up. Again, Brody Grundy, simplest thing ever. He goes in draft. He's one that could slide a little bit in the picks. I would happily have him as a captain in draft. I reckon you'd be able to get him.
Super consistent.
Well, you'd be able to get him anywhere from like pick 6 to 12, and I think you'd still
really?
be. I reckon he'll slide still. Well, you think about all the other
He's
talent.
got to be a top 5, right?
All
Swiz?
the other talent on the list, I think he slides
I don't know about
between
that.
6
Ben,
and 12.
Ben, I'm actually just doing it's my pick in this draft that I'm in at the moment, and it's got really, really shit. I've got between Reece Stanley, Josh Kennedy, or I don't even talk. Josh Caddy's probably the best midfielder there. It's so yuck. But
Caddy's
in this
still on the
draft,
list.
Brody Grundy, I think Brody Grundy went pick 2 or pick 3.
Wow.
So,
okay. So maybe you boys
I think
are right.
people are going to be pretty hot on him.
Well, the hype.
There's not really that many good rucks.
No, that's true. Well, it depends.
He's a standout.
But if you're playing captain, though, then you would think your steals and everyone else will probably be jumping in ahead of him. He averaged, 115? There's so many players or midfielders jumping above.
You've also seen Brody Grundy average 130 consistently for 2-3 years in a row, was it?
And in those years, he was picked in the top 2 picks. But now I think he probably slides.
I think he returns to that form. I
So
wouldn't
Ben,
be picking
we talked about this last pod, Ben. It talks about... depends on your league structure. If you've got captains, it's a different story.
Well,
if you don't
captains,
have
you'd probably go
captains, or
on
you're
midfield.
12, 14, 16 man,
then rucks earlier, key rucks or your high forwards are definitely earlier because it's a big point difference on the next forward or the next ruck, which makes sense. Taylor
do I
Adams.
just take Reece Stanley here?
Oh, Mate,
wow.
that's horrible.
no.
Taylor Adams is 516k midfielder
Avoid.
only. He is definitely got some value. I think Taylor Adams can break back out to what he has been previously.
What's his value though? His value is that he's going to
No,
get
for draft
for
leagues.
half a season.
No, draft leagues. I think there's value there because he's a standout on the track. He's cutting a lean and mean appearance, as what they were talking about him. I think.
Right up until he gets injured in the first game of the season.
Nah. So you can't play like that though. He's averaging. You can pick him up 94.9 average. You can pick him up at 100 flat, and there's still upside in draft leagues.
Oh no, I'm not saying there's not value in terms of his scoring potential. I'm just saying you also have to expect that he's not going to be playing the entire season.
But we said that once, and then he averaged like 110.
As
That was as a defender.
remember
That
he was
one
like
good year.
yeah, that
Remember
one good year.
Yeah, that one good time. Yeah, he had a good day though.
One time, it was.
Where'd he finish?
One time.
Where'd he finish? Dead last. Yeah, he had a good day though.
Feeling first or last. So obviously Maynard, I think he's going to be playing more midfield time. It'll be interesting to see what he can average this year. I think Maynard is a great pick in draft. Absolutely fantastic pick. I think he's arguably one of the best from Collingwood, and you're going to be able to pick him up with value. And he's got at least a 5 to 10 point upswing, in my opinion, in his average from last year. So, I'd be looking at Braden Maynard as someone.
Well, Maynard started real shit, 76.7 over his first 7, but then. Yeah, and we're like, oh, what the hell has happened to Maynard? Because he showed a lot of promise, but then 101.6 in the middle 8 and 97.3 on the back 7. So even if you kind of combine those averages, you're still looking at about a 98.5 or a 99 or 99 average.
Yeah, I mean,
for a guy averaging over the year 92.3, there's definite upside there.
Yeah, the biggest problem with Maynard
in midfield,
pretty much for the entire season, was that he was thrown around into 7 different roles. So he was sometimes taking kickouts, sometimes not. When Howe went down, he started playing lockdown fullback. He's the sort of guy that was there Mr. Fix-It last year, and I don't anticipate that to be this year. So we'll see how his role goes, but I do like Maynard at this stage. But we do need to have a little bit more information from the preseason games to see where he's actually going to be playing.
All right, the
and
last
splits are going to be like.
2.
Oh,
I'll just butt in on that, Benny boy. I'm just looking through this draft. Grundy went at 4, but Maynard went to pick 77. So maybe
that's
8th.
value. That's great value.
Yeah. So that's 8th round if you're doing a 10-teamer. Yeah.
That's
So
not bad.
Can't complain about that.
Okay, let's have a look. Darcy Moore averaged horrible as a forward, 76.7. Moved him back into defence where he could intercept and average 104.8 over a 6-round period before he got injured. Again. So another one, same as the Taylor Adams effect, where it is what you expect. But if he is playing in the defensive line, which we expect he should, there is definite some draft upside there. Average 89.7. So it's not too unreasonable, but again, at a 90 average for someone who's not completely flexible, I might just let someone else take that risk.
Yeah, I think, he's just greasing the chain for Jack Madgen to come in, really.
Or he'll get his contract extension. He might have a good year and then get his contract extension and then pull it.
Is it a contract year? It is,
pull
isn't it?
it to go. And the last one, still side bottom, is a highly spoken about, bit contentious.
Let someone else take him. He's
So
going to
is
be playing more forward time this year than he has in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I agree. And he averaged 87.3 with some midfield.
And he'll still come in there with injuries or whatever, but he's going to, his role this year is going to be half forward, a bit of wing. He's going to have very little CBAs. I would just,
kind
not
of like
for
the
me.
Robbie Gray effect, where you go forward and you're still talented enough. Robbie, you can hit the scoreboard. Robbie's a better kick. So I think Steele could end and go.
I know he's a better kick.
Robbie Gray.
Kick a goal, yeah.
Hey,
maybe.
you watched him kick against Carlton against the boundary.
Love watching Carlton lose.
After the siren. And you're saying, oh yeah, maybe.
Best day ever.
Is that you just rating Steele? So Steele 87.3. I think you could average anywhere between 80 to 85 for me. So I think it's avoided an 87.3. He could surprise, but
What do you think, Swiz? What are your thoughts on Steele this year?
Great bloke. Shit Supercoach option.
yeah.
I love that.
Can you see him
Steele
going 90
Sidebottom's
plus?
best year ever. He was playing on a wing.
Yeah. Could he
Like
go
pure
90
wing
plus
role.
this year or no? You think 80 to
Nah.
85 is
No
more
way.
reasonable?
No chance.
Not
in
even
plus.
close, mate.
Exactly. So for those in draft, basically don't pick him at his average is what I'm trying to get at.
And same with Scott Pendlebury. I mean, obviously with the move to halfback, I can't see him.
But he does become relevant. Pendlebury, after 6 rounds, if he becomes a defender, he is easily good for an 85, 90 average as a defender.
I can see that. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to. He's completely.
Well, he'll be hitting loose targets out in the wing.
But I think someone picks him up at what did he average last year? It's still pretty decent, right?
90 flat.
Yeah,
90.
I mean, where are you picking him up in draft? You know,
I think if you pick him up around 90, there's value if the position changes. Don't be sucked into picking up a Pendlebury at 100 average, thinking he can then possibly become defender.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
You don't know what's going to happen. They might get injuries. Pendlebury back into that midfield. Maybe the percentage swing isn't what you thought it was going to be. Or they work out, hey, it doesn't really work out, and we have Bianco killing it, so we'll just put Bianco in that role and play Pendlebury, on the ball or forward of centre. So definitely pick if you want to get him 90 flat or just a little bit over, hoping for a little bit of upside either way, and then that's it. I think that's it.
And then obviously Lipinski, but we did touch on him in the previous earlier.
Yeah, he went in the 9th round in this draft.
Ninth.
Oh, fuck.
That's early. Surely.
Pick 90, so not the 9th round in this, but pick in the 90s.
Pick 90. I
So
guess
which would be the 9th round, 10th round for people.
Pendlebury used to be a first-round pick, so, I guess you can't be too surprised.
No, that's...
Pick 90, that's overs.
Well,
I mean, this guy...
He
must be a basketball fan.
You're thinking he's going to become a defender.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, but even then, I think it's risky.
Well, you know what happens when you jump at shadows? You get scared.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, he's also still got to be at least the first 6 rounds until you can move him back into that defence, right? You got to draft an extra mid.
And then if you're playing a normal league, then you get maybe, 11 rounds at best. And if he doesn't make the first cut, then maybe it'll be the second cut, which is round 12. So you get about 5 rounds 7 rounds before you hit finals.
Who are you playing on the field to cover him until he moves back into the defence? How many points per game are you losing there instead of someone you could have played in the midfield?
I was going to play Liam Jones in defence.
The DNPs?
As a
good DNP.
Yeah, as a loophole, have him on the field and get him some minutes up and make him feel good about himself.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I suppose that kind of wraps it up.
That's it. Swiz, always a pleasure. Sorry to keep your mic down, mate. This is what happens when Chris comes in. No one can get a fucking word in.
Oh, we knew this was going to happen this podcast. Let Chris have his moment.
Yes, Collingwood, you will have your chance for Richmond. We'll just sit back, kick back, and enjoy the bottom 4 podcast protest. That's you. That's not me.
I'm all for it.
You said Richmond.
I could probably put 50 on it too. No, I won't.
Swiz,
that's silly money.
Swiz,
I need 2 for 1 for that.
Bottom 6?
Yeah, we heard it.
Bottom 4? Bottom 6?
Everyone's heard it out there.
No, I won't.
Middle,
I'm going to cop so much shit for that.
Middle line, bottom 6. Get a 2-way leeway.
Let's see how they go in the preseason.
Oh, look at this pussy.
Oh,
Hey, what was our bet again?
soft.
Hewitt versus Cripps.
Cripps.
Okay, I'll take.
Yeah, all right. You
got to double down.
Gotta double down.
Sometimes we get a couple of ladies. You got to split those ladies and take them both home.
That's true.
All right, that's it for us. Splitting ladies.
Oh, that was great. All right, I got to go anyway, boys. But thanks for having me back, and love you all.
Love ya. Thanks, Swizzy.
Cheers.
Bye.